If you don't mind telling me your name, your birth date, and where you were born.
My name is John L. Showers. My birthday is February 28, 1944. I was born in Lawrence County in the Pleasant Grove community, and that's where I have lived basically all my life, with a few times that I went out of state. But basically, this is where I've been. And after I had the accident, I've been in the place basically not far from where I grew up. And this is my foundation, yes.
What did your parents do for a living?
My parents, they was farmers. My dad, he owned property, and we farmed, and he was a public worker. He logged, he hauled logs, and he also hauled pulpwood. He also, as I said, we had a farm, and we raised most of our food: corn, cotton, peanuts, sweet potatoes, iced potatoes. Whatever we ate, we basically raised it on the farm. Peas, whatever. He also raised cattle. He raised cattle and he sold cattle. He also raised hogs for the market. He raised those Yorkshire hogs, and that was another source of income that we had coming in.
How was religion a part of your home?
Religion was a paramount part of our home growing up. We had home in the home. We had nights. Mom and Dad had nights set aside for Bible class, prayer meeting at home. We also, as growing up as a child, they had like prayer bands in our community, and we walked from house to house. Like on Wednesday night, it'd be at this person's house, or auntie, member of the church. We'd go there and went around every Wednesday night and had prayer meeting. We had Bible class at home, and it was an intricate part of my life, yes.
Can you tell me about the house that you grew up in?
The house was a house that my father built. I don't remember exactly the year that he built it because I was a child. And prior to that, when he and my mother first got married, they lived with his mother until he built the house that we lived in up until around 81. I think that's 81 that then we had a new house built. I had got hurt. But he built the house. It was a 3-bedroom house with a double chimney. We used wood to heat the house. We drew water out of the well, toted it from the spring, and but he built the house, and that's where we stayed. It wasn't as comfortable or anything like the homes that we live in now, but it was comfortable. Yeah.
Was there ever a time when money was tight?
Yes, there was times when money was tight, more especially if there was some unexpected occurrence that was come up and somebody may get sick, something like that, and sometimes it was a struggle. But the Lord always blessed it, to bring us through. And we was a family that, close family still to this day, because it was instilled in us to be close to one another. It was 9 of us in the family that lived. My mother and my father birthed 14, but 5, deceased. So, 2 was premature, and then the others, they passed in infancy. A brother and 2 sisters, they passed in infancy. But I enjoyed growing up. We had plenty of places to play and interact with one another. There was strict discipline in the home. Well, it wasn't but two bosses in the house. That was mom and dad. And they didn't put one against the other one. If one told us to do something, we had to do that. Else we suffered the consequences, because they didn't say, well, you do what I say do. If one wanted us to do something, the other one said, well, once you finish doing what your mom said do, you come do what I said do, or vice versa. And that was quite a bit of unity and love in the home. And my mother and father, they didn't fuss, and they didn't allow us growing up fussing. As you may see, my birthday, I'm 74 years old, and none of us, our brothers, is 6 brothers living now, and we just had one sister that lived. And we have never had an altercation among ourselves. We've never fought, anything like that. We've had some heated discussions, but as far as laying hands on one another, pushing and shoving and cursing, that was another thing that we weren't permitted to do. If you curse, you better be out of your shop of mom and dad, because they go at one side and down the other. And we was taught to respect other people. We was allowed to disagree, but we had to disagree with respect for the other person's opinion. And it has propelled me, throughout my life. If I disagree with somebody, I never lose respect for that individual, because I feel like they have a right to their opinion, and I don't have a right to force my opinion upon them. And this is some of the basic fundamentals of my upbringing, and it has been a tremendous asset to me throughout my life, and taught me how to deal with adversity.
Can you tell me about the community that you grew up in?
It was a close-knit community. People looked out for one another. If anybody was sick, when I was growing up, and I was talking to someone about this just yesterday, me and one of my brothers, and how they would go from house to house, and they would schedule. If somebody was sick, one would say, well, you come and you stay, and so many hours, or if you had to stay a day, that one leave, another one would come, and at that point that the other one had to leave, and they really cared about each other. But it's sad that we don't have that now. But that was the kind of community that I grew up in, and they shared, like killing hogs, or if they kill a beef, or whatever it was, sharing eggs. My mom, she always had a lot of chicken. We had a lot of eggs. We gave people eggs, and they didn't sell anything to anybody. It was a gift. If they needed it, they shared it with one another.
What was going to town for you like growing up?
Oh my goodness, going to town back then, it was just like Christmas coming, because we didn't get to go to town that much. And when we did have the opportunity to go to town, we'd be looking forward to that, because we know Dad was going to buy us some candy or something, and it was an enjoyable time for us to get to go to town.
Can you tell me about what school was like for you? School
was good. I enjoyed school. I liked it. History. I was very interested in history, and I liked it to study about events. How it started, what was the cause of it, who was involved in it, what propelled this incident. So I was very interested in that. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Who was your favorite teacher?
I would say Miss Christine Sanders. She was one of my favorite teachers that I had when I growing up there in the community. Because our schools, when I first started the school, we walked to school. I walked about 3/4 of a mile to school, back and forward, every day. And the school was in the community.
And what school did you go to?
It was Pleasant Grove Community School. It was right behind the church. And I lived about 3/4 of a mile, same place I live now, from the school. And then After the consolidation of the schools, then they closed those community schools down, and I started going to Miller School. That was in Silver Creek. And then from that, I came to McCullough here in Monticello, but we was on the bus then. And we still had to walk from the house to a certain pickup point in the community and catch the bus. The bus didn't come by the house, as they do now, and pick up children, but we had to get out and walk early in the morning. And that was sometime this time of the year. It would be, cold. We bundle up and get out and walk to the bus stop. When the bus comes, we get on the bus and ride to school.
What did you do after finishing school?
After finishing school, well, I didn't finish school after I got hurt, because I went back to school and got my 16 units, and I finished school then. But after that, I went to work a while, and after I got hurt, I had an accident in 1965 and left me a paraplegic. So after that, I went back to school. I got my diploma, and then after that, I went into tailoring. I went to school to be a tailor, so that was my occupation. Yeah. Make suits for men. I did weddings, all of that kind of stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me how you met your spouse?
I haven't been married. I haven't ever been married, no. After I got hurt, I was engaged to get married with my fiance. She was in Alcorn, going to school. But after I got hurt, I didn't know what the future, would be like. So my best thought, I didn't want to burden anybody. I'm quite independent, and I didn't want to, saddle anybody with that responsibility, and not knowing what my life would be like. If I would have known that things was going to turn out for me as blissful as it is, I would have, probably went ahead. But I just couldn't do it, not right then, because I was the one that I was working to make sure that she got through school, because I went off on putting these pipes for the gas line, Fort Bacon Davis out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I also worked in New Orleans and stayed down there. And my job to try to facilitate her education, that I would come back and do what I needed to do. But after I got hurt, and she was already in college, I couldn't see myself, interrupting her life like that.
Can you tell me about some of the most meaningful or memorable places in your lifetime in Lawrence County?
Well, some of the most meaningful and memorable places is like events at the church when people would come together, like revival time, and we called it big meeting. They would put dinner on the ground out they had tables, and everybody just came together, and we served food, and people interacted with one another. And people that lived away from there was an event that everybody come home. They made it a special effort that everybody's away from home that could come home would come home for revival time or family gatherings, and those some very special. Another thing was very important to me. And it was very special, and I hold that dear. I loved the old people, and I always liked to sit and listen to old people talk. And that has been a blessing to me. That was a memorable time, because they shared so much from way back, the way they, was brought up. And my mother, she was 94 when she passed, and she could take me back from her daddy's daddy, and then her mother, back to, cause my great-great-grandfather, Grandpa Albert, he was a slave. And they could bring me up from things that they shared with them up until, and they shared that with me and the rest of the family. And those most things I remember that is deposit a treasure within me, and I try to pass it on. I treasure that.
Well, thank you for passing it on today.
Yeah.
How would you say Lawrence County has changed over your lifetime?
Lawrence County has changed tremendously, because when I was young and growing up here, as you know, Lawrence County was very, segregated, and we faced a lot of hostility as young black men growing up. I remember coming to town, and a lot of time, if I come to town after I grew up, I was about 19, 20 years old then, and we come one way and go back another way. It was often being, at that time, law enforcement. A lot of time they would stop you and ask you a lot of questions: where you been, where you going, what you doing out, and that kind of thing. And they would, if you had a car, they would ask you, who car is it, where you get it from, how you get a car like this, what you do. It was those things I remember. And I remember coming down those streets over there. I remember the 10-cent store. If you're a young lady, and if I was coming down the street and you was coming down the street, I had to get off the street and give you the whole street. We couldn't pass on the street. I couldn't, like you shaking my hand this morning, that was a no-no. And those things, that was what it was like. But we was taught by our parents, you never give a person a reason to be extremely abusive. It said when you're in Romans, you do as the Romans do. And once you get out of Rome, out of the Roman, the laws and then opportunities, then you utilize that and be thankful, appreciative. Yeah.
What do you miss about the past?
I miss the togetherness, where everybody cared about one another. I miss the camaraderie of people knowing how to solve problems through communication and reason, and using good common sense, rather than it has to be my way or else. And I miss that tremendously, because as I stated earlier, there was no violence in the community as we see now, and I really miss that. People would come together. If something came up in the community in which I grew up in, and I still live out there, the elder people, like my father and other men of the community, they came together and they went to see about what was going on, what they needed to do to make sure that things didn't get out of hand. And I miss that, because we don't have that now.
What do you like about the present?
The present, I like the opportunities that we have now to chart our own course if we so desire. And I like the opportunity the present now, that you have the freedom to move about as you please, as long as you obey the law and do what that's right. I love that. And education is so much available now, much more available now than what it was when I was growing up, and I love that.
Can you tell me about how some of the significant events of the 20th century made a big impact on your life?
The 20th century, the laws that has been passed, like the right to vote and other things that has taken place, and we as a people have had the opportunity to participate in the political process, to hold offices and get good jobs and things of that nature, and being able to have a nice vacation. You can go on a cruise now. You can get on an airplane and fly from place to place. You have access to a lot of things that we didn't have access to then that we have access to now. And I love that. And our young people, the young children, they have so many things that they could participate in now. We didn't have like fairs and things like that when I was growing up, that we could be involved in or go see and ride on the Ferris wheels and see the children enjoy things like that. We didn't have that. Didn't have the opportunity for that.
So last question, what is your best piece of advice that you would like to share with people who get to watch this video one day?
My best piece of advice is that people would love each other and treat each other like they want to be treated. And one of my favorite mottos, and that's come out of the Bible, and it says, that you would men to do unto you, do that also unto them. However I want you to treat me, I treat you the same way. Another favorite passage is to come out of Acts, that whatever a man soweth, that he shall also reap. And that's one of the things that guides my life. And I try not, with God to help me, never to do anything to anybody that I want them to do to me. I'm going to treat you with love and kindness and respect because I want you to treat me that way.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.